Hey guys, it's Ian. So today I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to be doing a match review for my top 8 of Pro Tour Ether Drift. The matchup we'll be seeing today is Domain versus Mono Red. Going to this event, one of the reasons why I decided to play Mono Red instead of a different deck is actually because of this matchup, as I felt that if you're on the play, the matchup was heavily favored. If you're on the draw, you're slightly favored, and I felt that me and my team really thought that Domain is one of the most popular decks based on results online, so that's why I decided to play Mono Red. So my mulligan decision here is I had on the draw, my keep range is pretty small. On my 7s, I can't keep any hands that does not have a 1-drop, as I can't allow for their 2-mana removal, cards like Rise End and Nice Leyline Binding to really disrupt me, and I can't be just keeping slow hands. So on 7, I mulliganed a hand with a 2-drop and a couple of mediocre cards, something I can't really keep. On 6, I mulliganed a hand with, if I remember correctly, it was 6 lands and a Manifold Mouse, and on 5, I bottomed 2 cards and kept the hand I'm not ecstatic about, but it is acceptable in the matchup, as I just need to make sure that I am putting on pressure as quick as possible. And the thing is that on Domain, I can't really get much information from Matt keeping a 7. There's a lot of hands you can keep in this matchup on the play, as all you really need is just a little bit of pressure to get the game started. So one thing here is I will always start on Heartfire Hero almost every time, even if I have a 1-drop like a Hired Claw, because the thing is that I really feel that you need to just put as much pressure as possible, and you can't really be thinking about anything else. Or excuse me, because also I put most pressure, Manifold Mouse really is always going to be your best draw, and you want to make sure you're able to enable it at all times. So here, I'm just going to attack. I don't think there's really too much to talk about. My goal is to just put as much pressure as possible, I said, and the one thing to know is he plays 3 copies of Temporary Lockdown in the main, so there is some debate, at least in one of these games, about how I play out my creatures, but at least this game on the draw, I kind of just need to put my creatures out and just hope that they stick. I can't really be thinking about playing around Temporary Lockdown, just removing my boards from play. With the hand I have, I do not feel very great about my situation. I am able to top deck a land and play a Screaming Nemesis, but still not great, because I'm only going to be putting Matt to 17. I'm just thinking here if I want to use Rockface Village on Heartfire Hero, or do I want to cast a Screaming Nemesis, as I know that he has a Leyline Binding or another rule spell face up at this point, as he didn't cast a Overlord or anything else. That's why I'm thinking about how I am going to play this, and maybe I want to do Rockface Village on my Heartfire Hero, but instead in the end I make the correct play, which is just play my most expensive card and just attack for everything, as I can't really be playing around much this game. I'm just so far behind, both on cards and pressure, that I just need to hope something goes right at some point in the game in order for me to be able to win. Here, the turn for Overlord on the play is quite scary, as yes, I do have Screaming Nemesis. I can't really do much else behind this, so I kind of just have to hope that I get a little bit lucky with my draws at some point. So here, I think I'm going to attack with Screaming Nemesis. The thing is that, yes, I could attack with others, get some more extra damage in, but I felt that Monstrous Rage just becomes a better draw if I keep everything in play, so it's better for me to play like this. With me having no cards in hand, Matt can play pretty lenient how he sets up. You really need to think about is, how does a Manifold Mouse set me up, or how does a Monstrous Rage set me up? And he's able to play around really both of them. I think the scariest card for him actually would be something like a Burst Lightning off the top for me, as being able to target my own Screaming Nemesis and target 2 at his face, so he can no longer gain life, is a little bit scary. Even if I'm able to do that, being able to just cast it early this turn and attack with the Overlord is just so powerful that even my best draws do not really do all this that much in this situation. All it's really about at this point is just trying to guarantee that you get to untap your Reserve, and the game ends as he gets to create 2 enchantments and swing for 13 and get 13-point life swing. Here's the same old damage, as I had no draws that can kill him, so he's just thinking about it. I did draw Offspring, Manifold Mouse, so That is quite strong, as it could maybe set me up for something, but I don't think it actually really matters all that much, as he's able to just attack me for 13 on the swing back. I think there's a debate here. Maybe I'm supposed to hold back to Screaming Nemesis, but I don't think it really matters all that much. If I were to hold it back and not attack, I could block something, but I think that's all just about getting damage this turn as much as possible, so it's not something for me to have to think about all that much. Here's just trying to think, like, what could I draw really could give me a good spot, and again, it's going to be Monstrous Rage, which would put my Heartfire hero at 6 power with my Face Village, so I don't think he's really under much threat here of, 7 power with that, so he's really under too much threat here of anything, and being able to just double activate here is just basically game winning, because going up to 20 here is just impossible for me to come back from. And even if I were to, let's say, Design Screaming Nemesis, so I held back and just retargeted it at his face, I still don't think I'm really winning. The only way that I may hypothetically could have won is if I was able to do that and then get Rage in great situation. But yeah, here I believe I just can see the game is just over. Not really much to think about here. Alright, so the next game, I'm able to keep a much better hand on the play. My keep range on the play is a lot larger. I'm able to keep a hand with only 2 drops in it if my hand is strong enough, because there's no copies of Elsa's Smite, and the main deck can only 1 copy in the sideboard format, so I'm able to keep different hands this game. I just got 1 drop and 2 drop, and that's all I can really ask for. I'm not going to be keeping hands that don't have them, but like if I just have access to 1 drop, 2 drop, I cannot be mulliganing it ever. So I'm able to here just curve out with Higher Claw and the Manifold Mouse, and I feel like I'm in a great spot because nothing's really that scary for me. Ride's End would be a little annoying, but I think that that's just not too big of a deal. I'm able to have extra gasoline in the tank anyway, so it's not too much of a concern. Seeing a turn 2 up the Beanstalk is great for me because I know that means I can maybe get close to killing him here. Here I have 12 damage, but I'm trying to decide how to pace everything because I'm basically trying to figure out how do I lose to a copy of Temporary Lockdown. Like, how can I play around that the most effectively I can? Entering the math here, what I figure out is I'm able to just use Monstrous Rage on Manifold Mouse, pump my Higher Claw, and be in a great position. I don't need to go all in this turn. I could play a double Monstrous Rage. It does excuse me, it does 14 damage, which does actually put him to 4, but it puts me in an awkward position because Challenger does put him to 2, but it doesn't actually really finish off the game well. So what I go for here is just the 1 Monstrous Rage and pump my Higher Claw so that I am able to have a better overall board state, so that if I were to get Temporary Lockdown, I have the follow-up of Challenger, and I'm only missing here 3 damage by not casting second Monstrous Rage, so I'm still doing 10 playing to 7, which is a great position for me because the Challenger will put him to 1, even if Temporary Lockdown is a thing, and if he does not have Temporary Lockdown, pretty safe. One thing is when you keep a 7 on the draw in this matchup and you don't play a turn 2 removal spell, as the main player, I know he is Temporary Lockdown almost 100%, as I feel that this matchup you need to have the pressure to be able to respond to the mono red player, so I kind of just read him here on the Temporary Lockdown and just wanted to try to play around that as much as possible, as I felt my position was pretty dominant if I was able to make the correct play into this. And if I don't hit lethal this turn, which isn't very likely, I still play him to 1, and I have the Soulstone Sanctuary in play, and I'm in a great position. So here, I drew the Heartfire hero. I was trying to decide if I want to cast that along with the Challenger here, not risk missing a mountain, but in the end, I realized that I really just want to make sure that I get in this damage this turn, so I just go for this play instead of a different play of trying to cast the hero, because playing to 1, I have so much time to win this game, because any draws that really stall me out here just aren't really effective in the face of the Heartfire hero. Or, excuse me, if he tries to get life gain quickly, it just doesn't really work here, because I have access to Witch Stalker Frenzy, which will kill any of his big creatures. Like, for example, if he goes for a Zur or goes for an Overlord here, I'm just able to Wish Stalker Frenzy and trample over for lethal. So here I know I basically have the game almost guaranteed. So it's just really trying to figure out, like, I'm thinking about what can I lose to in this position is like what I'm trying to think about. Think about any lines that he has access to, or what draws can I have in a row that just lose me the game. So here I do have draws for lethal, but not really too worried about it. So I have an interesting draw here from land, and I was debating, do I cast Heartfire Hero, or do I just animate land end of his turn? And what I decided to do is animate land at the end of his turn, because what that does is that it allows me to just go attack and Wish Stalker Frenzy my Heartfire Hero for lethal with the hand I have. It plays around Leyline Binding better than playing the Heartfire Hero, which is something I need to make sure I do this turn. And also, this is an appealing board state because he's not allowed to really play around, I think, my hand. So he kind of has to start jamming creatures because it gives me more outs to lethal if I just get to sit there and draw, like, let's say 3 cards before Matt starts turning the game around with Zur. So he's kind of forced to progress the game by developing his board state with creatures, and my hand lines up very well into a creature situation instead of just holding up mana for removal spells like Ride's End. And on top of that, Sunfall doesn't really do much here, which is quite strong for me too. So he's very much forced into this position doing this. And here I just have lethal because I go draw, play Heartfire Hero, go to combat, attack, and then just Wish Stalker Frenzy my Heartfire Hero, and it does 2 to his face. So in this matchup, my sideboard plan is I cut all the lightning strikes and I bring in my 4 copies of Sunshine's Bind Links. The reason you keep in 2 copies of Wish Stalker Frenzy is you need answers to Zur and the Green Overlord, so you need to just keep some amount of removal left in your deck. So this next game is a little bit weird because this is the hand I keep on the draw. I think there was some debate if this was right or wrong. I feel it's right because my hand is a 1-drop, which is really important, and I can't be mulliganing hands with 1-drops plus Links, because Links is just so powerful in the matchup, being able to finish off games, that if I'm able to draw a 1-drop or a 2-drop in my next 2 draws, I feel very strong about my chances of finishing him off. And also that Wish Stalker Frenzy is kind of makes my hand look like I'm mulliganing a 6 a lot of times, but that card can be quite strong. I mean, keeping his hand ends up not paying off, but I feel that my hand is pretty good in most situations if I get a creature in my first 2 draws, and if I'm mulliganing to 6, I'm not really improving it. And the thing is that if I'm mulliganing to 6 for creatures, that's a lot worse on the play post board, because if you're able to keep a hand of like a temporary lockdowns is so bad for me, and I need to actually keep mana. I no longer can just aggressively mulligan to 6 or 5 if I have to, just to find creatures, because I need the mana to cast my 4-drop Sunshine Links. I can no longer be mulliganing hands and just playing on 2 to 3 mana for the whole game. So here, Matt keeping 7. There's a lot of hands you can keep on 7, so I think that there's not really too much information gained yet for me. You're just thinking about to just go Ride's End or go up the Beanstalk or go something like Hedge Mage, Land, Overlord, but I think that's not really the right choice here. So it's really, do you want to Ride's End here, or do you want to go up the Beanstalk? And I think that here it's really important to just kill my creature, as I just have a lot of hands that sometimes just do not like removal spells on 2. So it was really valuable to kill whatever I have, as really the biggest punish really to that play is if I go Maniful Mouse post combat, but I don't think that's really something he needs to worry all that much about here. And just removing creatures is so important, because also my slower 7s is probably something with like double Sunshine Links, so it could be a very weird hand. Here I just completely flood out, just not much I can do about it. My hand's just too slow, can't really do much with it, as I got punished for keeping it because I drew back-to-back lands. So I think that the keep was still correct. It's just a really tough situation, as I am unable to put on any pressure, and it's not a matchup where you can sit back like a Esper Pixie matchup. If they don't draw when they're or discard hands, you're able to do. This game will end very quickly as I completely flood out. And if the game's already over at this point, because even if Matt has a slower draw, he just has enough space to finish off this game that's impossible for me to draw, even if I drew back to back to back to back Sunspine Lynxes. I just don't feel it's really a possibility to win from this position because he has enough ways to remove it and gain life. I'm just going to fast forward through this because this game is over, and as it is, he just gets to gain life and scoop. So, the next game, I mulligan to 6, and it's a very interesting situation. 7 is just unkeepable hand. On 6, I put back a Burst Lightning, which ends up costing me the game, but I feel it's correct because you need to have access a lot of mountains post board, just because you need to make sure you are able to turn on your Sunspine Lynx when you're drawing it. You can no longer just be thinking I can stay on 2 lands for a while and eventually draw my 3rd and be safe. You need to make sure you hit your 4. So I kept a mountain instead of Burst Lightning, which usually is not very relevant in this matchup. So here, my hand's just going to be a 1-drop, 2-drop, then decide what to do after that. I'm not really play around anything, so I'll start with Manifold Mouse. And here, I'll say since he's only 1 copy of Alcest Might in the 75, I'll never be playing around that card. If he has it, he has it. I cannot really be doing that in this magic, especially in mulligan to 6. So I top the Manifold Mouse here, and I'm able to put him to 16, which is quite strong, and I feel pretty good about my position because of this. So here, since I'm mulligan to 6, I have to play a little more conservatively. I cannot just go 1-drop, 2-drop, 2-drop, attack. I need to make sure that my cards are getting me enough resources in order to survive the later game. So what happens here is I have an option. I know that he has a copy of Rise in his hand or something like a Get Lost. There's just some removal there. So I'm assuming that there's probably something. That's not guaranteed, though, because his keep range does have temporary lockdown in it, and just 3 lands in turn 3 lockdown is in his keep range, I would say. So it's not guaranteed, but I would assume that he has it. So here, I decide, after I play my land, I'm never playing my Emerald Heart Challenger here because I have no follow-up. I'm just going to lose. That's going to happen. I got to decide here, what do I do in this situation? If he doesn't have, let's say, like he doesn't have Rides Down, or Rides End, what can I do to get my most damage, right? Because I could go Village my Manifold Mouse, target my Heartfired Hero, give it double strike, attack with both, get 1 extra point of damage. But here I decide to just go play a Mountain, target my Heartfire Hero with the Village and the Mouse because, again, I think that he does have removal, but I'm going to say that he doesn't because I feel that getting an extra point of damage here is important. 1 damage doesn't matter, 2 points of damage matter. So I might as well try to squeeze out an extra point of damage here, even if I do lose out on 1. I would say probably roughly around 60% of the time, because around the 40% of the time that he doesn't have a removal spell, I get an extra point of damage in, and I feel it's very important in this matchup because usually it's evens that you win by. So here, I'm just thinking about what I want to do here. And again, I'm thinking about the pros and cons of that. Do I cast Challenger? Do I target that? I already decided to remove the Challenger play early just because I lose a temporary lockdown on the spot if he has it, and I cannot really be doing that in the situation I'm in. I do not have the resources that allow me to just get temporary lockdown. So here, I'm now deciding where I target double strike, and in the end, I decided to go all on the Heartfight Hero because, again, also, I put him to 9, and I feel like I have a pretty good chance of just finishing off this game if things go well from here. I'm still thinking through how to do this. And then, of course, I ended up going with the double strike and everything on the Heartfire hero. I did lose out on some damage here, but I felt that I just had to go all the way in on that card instead of the other because I just to make sure that I have as much damage as possible. So one thing also is that I can maybe possibly be able to tapping out here by going the way I did because it doesn't look like I have really much. I tried to use my turn 3 instead of playing a creature. I played just a Rock Rage Village activation, so my hand could be pretty weak. So that's why Matt's going with just Overlord. It's just that sometimes I will not have much, and this is kind of just a game-winning play if my hand's weak because it allows him to keep up Binding along with casting Lockdown, or going Overlord to keep up Binding the following turn. And here I do have the Punish, which is Challenger plus a Monstrous Rage, which sometimes can just win me the game. And here I get to do very close to lethal. Get to put him to exactly 2. And in this situation, I have a lot of draws to win me the game. I'm a little concerned because my hand's all mountains, and yes, that could be an issue, but I still feel overall pretty good about my situation. Here he has a decision to make about how does he play out his cards. So first of all, he knows it doesn't have Burst Lightning, as Burst Lightning would have killed him. Same thing with Monstrous Rage. So those are things to keep in mind when thinking about this situation, how to progress against my board state is I cannot have those cards in my hand because I would have already won the game if I did. It's really just here thinking about like how do I play around the more expensive cards, things like Screaming Nemesis. Sunspine Lynx cannot be beaten, so that's a card that's no longer worth playing around, at least on this turn. Later on, I think that you can play around Sunspine Lynx if you're able to cast that Baloth in his hand, but at least for this turn, it's not really something that you can be thinking about as attempting to play around that. So here, Master's thinking through all the options he has, and there's just nothing great except for just killing my creatures and hoping that things go well. I think he's thinking about, do I cast Overlord here? Plus, like Binding, it's like the other play he has except for Temporary Lockdown, but Temporary Lockdown I think is just a little bit the better play just because game remove, Challenger plus Manful Mouse is very important as it shuts off a lot of my draws that are not, that need like creatures in play like Monstrous Rage. So being able to clear my board is quite strong here. And now he's in a pretty safe spot if I just do not hit anything. I think I have a couple turns to hit something, but in the end here I end up just drawing lands every single turn for the rest of the game and am unable to win when I think that there's a lot of draws that got me out, but that's really just how the game goes. There's just going to be a lot of times where you put yourself in favorable positions and you're just not going to win. If I did keep a Burst Lightning instead of the Mountain I did, I would have guaranteed won this game, but I think that's always incorrect as I cannot be expecting to draw 7 mountains in the top like 13-ish cards of my deck. So I feel this is an incorrect thought process here of saying I put the wrong card back, because if I did put the other card back, the mountain, I would have won the game. That's just a incorrect view of it, in my opinion. It's just going to happen where mathematically you're going to have games where you flat out pretty badly just because of how Magic works. So here, of course, I have to keep playing it out because there's going to be crazy draws here. I have, for example, Sunspine Lynx is lethal, so that's a big draw if I were to draw it. And along with that, I could also be top decking a Emberheart Challenger and going down using multiple triggers, so I had to be playing out all my lands so that if I were to draw, it just gets me out of the game. And here the second Baloth locks me out of the game, and it is just over for me. So yeah, That was my Pro Tour top 8. I think that game 3, there's a debate if I should have kept the hand or not, but I think other than that, I was very happy with how I played it, and it was a great experience being able to be on coverage and being able to play in a Pro Tour top 8. I will be doing more of these type of videos in the future for both Pokemon and Magic. Until next time, Ian out. Peace.